Everybody, welcome back. And in last week's video, we saw about the Passover and how they have to sacrifice a lamb in order to be saved from the Egyptians' destruction from the 10th plague. We saw the Egyptian army was destroyed as they crossed the Red Sea as well. We understood the Israelites were rescued from Egypt by the 10th plague, and then the Egyptians' army was destroyed by the Red Sea. We also know the details about how they have to follow this commandment strictly from Exodus 12th chapter. God also tells them they have to continue the sacrifice of the lamb every year as remembrance and on this appointed day of the Nisan 14, in between the 2 evenings at 3 p.m. in remembrance of their deliverance from slavery in Egypt, as remembrance for what God had done for them. And we can read that in Numbers 9th chapter, where it explains to us about how God has told the Israelites that they must repeat this every year on the same appointed day of Nisan 14 as remembrance from them being saved from Egypt. So let's read Numbers 9th chapter. Okay, here we go. It says now, "And the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai in the first month of the 2nd year, after they had come out of the island of Egypt, saying, Let the people of Israel keep the Passover as its appointed time. On the 14th day of this month, at twilight, you shall keep it at its appointed time, according to all its status, and with all its rules you shall keep it." So Moses told the people of Israel they should keep the Passover. Then we can read that it also says in the 5th verse that, "And they kept the Passover in the first month on the 14th day of the month at twilight in the wilderness of Sinai, according to all that the Lord commanded Moses." So the people of Israel did. So we understand even during the period of Jesus Christ, we can observe the period of the Passover Jesus Christ himself is celebrating. And we can see it's even recorded in various verses we can read. And we can see it's actually even recorded in the New Testament, of course. And we can read where Jesus Christ himself has celebrated it, which is in Luke 2nd chapter, 41st to 42nd verse, where it talks about Jesus Christ and the Passover. Okay, here we go. So Luke, we're going to go to the we're going to 2nd chapter, 40th verse now. "Now his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover. And when he was 12 years old, he went up according to custom." Also in the book of John, it's recorded about 4 Passover periods recorded at the age of 30, and his baptism in AD 29 and his death AD 33. Jesus himself, every year, Jesus and his parents, so we understand Jesus and his parents went to Jerusalem for the festival of Passover, we can understand. And during his last Passover period, he preached to his apostles and disciples, to Israelites, and he says he is the real lamb to save them. So as a representation of his sacrifice, he expressed them to eat his flesh and blood. But most of them did not understand this as spiritual understanding of what Jesus Christ meant and left him. But during the evening before his sacrificial death, he revealed to the 12 apostles during the Last Supper with him that as he is the sacrificial lamb, and he's going to be crucified at the appointed time on Nisan 14th, 3 p.m. And also, he asked the apostles to continue and follow this in the upper room in the Last Supper. He says to follow what Jesus Christ has told them from now on, as do the Spirit of the truth, to understand the real meaning of Passover, which is the sacrifice of Jesus Christ's ransom. We can read in 1 Corinthians 5th chapter 7th verse, where Jesus Christ is explaining this in more detail about what he is doing right now. It says, "Cleanse out the old leaven, that you may be a new lump, as you really unleavened, for Christ our Passover lamb has been sacrificed. Let us therefore celebrate the festival not with the old unleavened, with the leaven of malice and evil, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. So every year, the God's children who understand and follow and truly celebrate what his words was, which falls on April 4th, Tuesday, after 6 p.m. is the Lord's Memorial Day of Jesus Christ, who gave us his life to save us from the sin and acts as the sacrificial lamb. Jesus himself explained about this. He was going to be the lamb, and he said he has to eat his flesh and blood. They didn't understand this, though, many of the people. And on his third Passover, Jesus Christ explains this. Many people didn't understand this and didn't see the spiritual meaning, and everyone got confused and they left him. But only some of the people who are now the apostles who stayed with Jesus Christ in the fourth Passover, he explains that he is going to be the sacrificial lamb, and they are to celebrate it in this way and remember it in this way, as I am going to give my life as the lamb on this Passover on Nisan 14th, between the two evenings at twilight, just like the Passover, but Jesus Christ will be the lamb. So now we can understand this is the real connection between the Passover and the Lord's Memorial Day. The Old Testament, the Passover law, was completed and fulfilled by Jesus Christ, and in the New Testament he told us to do this in remembrance of him in the evening before his ransom sacrifice. For all of us, he is saying here. So we understand that Jesus Christ has told us to do this for a reason, because Jesus Christ had fulfilled the Old Testament's Passover as being the sacrificial lamb, and has given us the New Testament about how we have to remember this as Jesus Christ sacrificed for us and his ransom sacrifice for all of us. And we have to do this every year as remembrance. And this is written in Luke 22nd chapter 19th verse. And this is why we celebrate the Passover, Lord's Memorial Day, every single year at the appointed time, like Jesus Christ had told us. And this is the connection between Lord's Memorial Day and Passover. I hope you understood today's topic and liked it. And we will continue the Jude book from next week. So I hope you see then about the Jude, because this is the last week before the Passover. So see you then. Bye.